What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Jav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, it's just Al and I today. No B. B said he's going to come on the mics. I doubt it. We'll see what happens. Sanj is definitely working. But tonight, there's no news. No news besides I'm not feeling too well, but I'm still going to push through.
No.
But Al, there's only one thing to talk about, and that's going to be Moon Knight.
Nice.
MCU's Moon Knight. You know, and I know we try not to talk about the TV shows or the TV things, but there's no news.
Yeah, basically. No movies. Yeah.
No, and at least this ties into the MCU at some point, hopefully, which is something we'll talk about because at this moment in time, it doesn't connect to anything with the MCU.
Yeah, not that I can see. So
there's rumors and theories, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll definitely talk about Moon Knight. And just to give you guys a heads up for next week, just in case you're just logging in for the first time or hearing us for the first time or seeing us for the first time on YouTube, next week's episode will be the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness prep, getting you guys ready for Multiverse of Madness in theaters. I believe it's May 6th or May 5th for us because we go Thursday night. So that's going to be very cool and fun. We usually have a really good time talking about the past movies and what we think and feel. So that should be awesome, man.
Yeah. Especially with this one. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, absolutely, man. So listen, let's get right into Moon Knight, Al.
Okay.
So, I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk at all really about Moon Knight. We've shared a couple text messages saying this shit is crazy. Yeah. Something's up. What's going on? Al, tell me, man. I really don't know. How have you seen this series? How have you found this series?
Short of one episode, I've been in on every one. I mean, the first episode had me right from the beginning. You know, mostly I think they did a good job in casting Oscar Isaac.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and this movie was going to need an actor of his caliber, because, especially with the dynamic of the main character having with the multiple personalities. I forgot what the actual name is.
Right. I think it's DID they call it.
Yeah. Dissociative identity something.
Disorder, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, because he does so many little nuances with just his face, the way his face, you know, his eyes, and this, to let you know without overly expressing it that he's switching personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told you from the beginning, there was the first episode, I didn't realize how good the episode was until I realized that we didn't see Moon Knight until the end of the episode.
Right.
Like, it's the Moon Knight show, and we didn't see him until the end of the episode. And I'm like, all right, this show has me hooked. If I didn't even notice that we didn't see the main character or the title character until the end of the episode. I think it was 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Kind of let me down because I guess they had to fill in a lot of the backstory, so it became more exposition than anything.
And the exposition, lore, all the history.
Yeah. So that one kind of lost me for a little, but then it got back up, you know, between Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke with their acting and so forth. I think the series has done a great job.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I got pretty much from the jump of Moon Knight episode 1, I was almost like, I paused and was like, what is going on? And all it was Ethan Hawke's character putting his foot inside of his sandals filled with glass. I was like, what is going on? What is this? This is, you know,
sick, man.
First scene, you know what I mean? And then, like you said, that episode was fantastic. Watching Oscar Isaac just play Steve. Is Steven or
Steve? Yeah, Steve. Well, Steven. Yeah, but Steve. Yeah.
Stevie with a V. Stevie with a V.
Yeah,
and it's been awesome to watch his character, and then that ending of the first episode when, you know, he's looking in that mirror terrified because the creature stuff was really cool.
Yeah,
because when Ethan Hawke's character, I think is Harrow. Arthur Harrow, maybe I think is the name of the villain. Yep. He, you know, you could tell he's trying to do something, and then you just see in the background, it's not even focused. It's in the background of Steven trying to hide. And you see the 2 eyes of this little, like, looks like a dog or some kind of animal beast. I thought it was incredible, man. And then you see Steven in the bathroom scared, and he's like let me take control. And he's like, what are you talking? Just let me do this. You're gonna be fine. And then all of a sudden he goes, fine. And he does the thing where he looks up and oof.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what do you think of the costume so far? I mean, I think it's been great the way that it looks.
No, I think they did a good job. You know, you have the first one with the ribbons, and then when Steven has control and he puts on the suit, he literally puts on a suit. I thought that was a good way of bringing in the different, because apparently there is different versions of Moon Knight with different looks. So I thought that was a good way of incorporating them and making it make sense based on the different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But and honestly, I like the suit look a lot. You know, not that I don't
clean.
like. Not that I don't like the robe with the with the ribbons or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like both suits. I think it fits the two personalities very well. And just I'm interested to see the powers, because apparently he's heals, he's got strength, and so forth.
Right.
So, you know, I'd like to see a little bit more action with Moon Knight, but so far what we've gotten is building.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they're doing it that way, that they're building on the story and not rushing everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, and as far as like the costume goes, the Moon Knight complete, like the real Moon Knight character, the fact that they kind of incorporated him being a mummy with the wrapping, I thought it was genius, dude. Because in the comic books, it looks like just like a straight up costume that he puts on. This is like almost like he's being mummified, turning into the Moon Knight character.
Yeah.
And it just looks amazing. The glowing eyes and the wrapping, the hood, the freaking cape behind it. It just looks really, really awesome, man.
That's true. Because like when he takes the transformation in the bathroom, you see him getting wrapped by the suit. Okay.
And and meaning that the show is like following the Egypt and the pyramids, the whole Egyptian culture, as far as like the mythology of Egypt. Yeah. I'd never followed all of that stuff. I followed more Greek mythology, if anything. So I know more about Zeus and Poseidon and all those different people, Osiris and all these other people from the pyramid times and all that stuff. The gods from there, I have no clue about, which is crazy because I love just everything about that time period of Egypt with the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx and all the, the Nile River and all the history that comes with it. And I never really got into the gods of Egypt, like Osiris and a couple of the other ones that I forgot some of their names. But were you ever big into that mythology?
Never big into the like knowing their names and so forth, but I knew a little bit about them. I knew, like, I could recognize like the god of death that would measure your soul. And they would, weigh it against a feather. So I had heard about that story and how that worked. But a lot of these other gods I'm hearing about for the first time and what their role is.
Right.
So it's, I know they had a god for almost everything, not everything, but, like the god of the moon and so forth. So it's interesting to see it play out and how what I want to see is how do they, like we were saying last week, with all these gods, how do they incorporate it into the MCU?
Right.
So far they haven't, but I want to see how they do that. But I like the fact that they made one character oblivious, so that's Mark. But then you have Steven as the expert. So it helps with the play on the two personalities and how they're balancing out with each other and how they've slowly, grown to need and use each other. So
yeah, it's been very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah. And I think one of the other cool features of the show is Khonshu, which is the moon god that is controlling or helping Moon Knight, whichever way you want to see it, because he's basically telling Mark, if you don't want to be Moon Knight, that's okay. I got my eyes on your wife. she'll be my avatar.
Yeah, but he's an ass, man. He tells the guy to hang the kid off the edge because he'll talk.
I thought he'd talk.
I thought he'd talk.
He says the worm has the body. Great.
Yeah, the idiot. Because the idiot's in control.
Oh goodness, man. I mean, I think how do you feel like he looks and he sounds, and how menacing he could be. Because even in the, I believe it was the second episode where Steven found the storage
the storage
facility,
room. Yeah.
and Khonshu was kind of chasing him with the lights, and then he was like appearing, disappearing, appearing. What's your thoughts on
Yeah.
Khonshu?
I thought it was. I like Khonshu. He's an ass. Don't get me wrong. He's a dick at times, but as a character, I like him. You know,
Yeah.
he's one of those where I think they're gonna turn out to be he's like a complicated good guy.
Yeah.
Like he wants to achieve good. He's punishing the bad guys, the bad doers and so forth. But that's what he cares about. You know, he doesn't care about how he does it. He doesn't care, in essence, so to speak, who gets hurt along the way
Right.
or who he has to use to achieve his end. But in his mind, it's worth it. You know, the ends justify the means because ultimately he's punishing the bad guys. You know, he's punishing evildoers. So to him, it's part of the job, so to speak. You know, so like like I said, like he's willing to put Mark and Steven in any danger that they need to be in
Right.
because it's their job to do what he's telling them to do.
Mm-hmm. Summon the
And like
soup.
you said, yeah, to the point where he already lines up the next person so that if either you stop or you die, I guess they can somehow die, that he's already lining up. Ironically, Layla to be the next in line if she were, you know, if he were to act up or can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and I find it very interesting to see over the last 4 episodes where he was almost like disrespecting Steven with the
Yeah,
V.
oh yeah.
And now
Yeah.
in the, not this last episode, because this last episode there was no khonshu whatsoever. And in the third episode, you saw him working with Steven and told Steven, follow my lead, look at this,
Yeah.
I'll need your help. And I feel like he's realizing that Steven can be a benefit to him as well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, because of the play. Like Mark is the muscle, and then Steven's going to be the brains.
Right.
So Conch is going to have to realize there's times where, okay, I need someone that can think this through or think it out based on the evidence. You know, not evidence, but based on what's going on. And Mark can't always do that.
No.
You know, so Concho, I think, is coming to realize that he needs both of them, even though he told Mark to get rid of him in essence. I think he's realizing now he needs him as well.
Right, definitely. I mean, I know Mark's realizing that too. Mark in front of the was it the tomb of, I forgot which person it was. He was
On
like,
it?
he's like, all right, I'm gonna get this done, and then he's like, come on, Steven, help me. He's like, no, let me take care of the body. he's like, I will walk out of here. He goes, fine. So he had to like kind of like let him help him, and it was just awesome to see that. And it's kind of funny now because you can see like Steven's doing to him what Mark was doing to Steven before in the first few episodes, kind of just talking to him through glass or through anything that kind of give a reflection over to him. That's the way that they kind of connect through the brain or something. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think they're working that angle good, because otherwise, how could you talk to yourself and have us know that you're doing it? So I think that's a good play on, like you said, that talking to each other in their mind,
Right.
but letting the audience know that that's what's happening. So they use any kind of reflective material to let us know, oh, he's talking to the other personality.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I think another thing that this show has going for it is, besides, you know, Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke doing the damn thing throughout this entire thing, Layla is incredible. You know, you can see Layla holding her own. You know, I think it was episode 2 where she was in the, I think Arthur Harrow's, I guess, community where he has the people listening to what he's doing. And sure enough, she's in there kicking ass more than Mark and Steven in the freaking thing episode. Then in the most recent episode 4 that just came by last week on Wednesday, you know, she's in the tombs, she's climbing down, she's strapping up Steven with the I guess I forgot the name of the equipment there, but basically like the spelunking equipment to go into caves and stuff. And you see her just figuring things out and knowing what to do, fighting off these monsters and stuff like that. I'm like very impressed by her. So I was like, wow, she's great.
Yeah. And you know, and she was a good counter to Steven in the sense that she knew the knowledge as well as being able to, so she's like a blend of the two personalities, because she could do the action like Mark, but she has the brains of
Right.
Steven. So in a way, I can understand why Khonshu would consider her as a good alternate.
Yeah, because she's her own badass.
Yeah, they throw the suit on her, and she don't need anything else.
Now, one of the interesting dynamics that I've been seeing also over these past few episodes is that I guess she didn't realize or know how bad this dissociative identity disorder was with Mark. I don't think she even knew it was there.
I don't think she knew.
Because I think she said that he had it under control, and then something happened, which is most likely the death of her father by either Mark's hands or this other group of mercenaries' hands.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seems like she's becoming like she can see the difference between when Steven's in control, when Mark's in control. And it kind of feels like when Steven is in control, she kind of respects and likes the smart side, the honest side, the jokey side. Like she said, I don't even know if you're joking or serious anymore. And opposed to when Mark takes the body or control, it's almost like she's like, he's a dick, but that's my husband. It's so funny. It's just very interesting.
The only one play I want to see if they do is, going back to her interaction with Mark and knowing about the personalities. I'm wondering if she knew, to what point, to what degree does she know, and was that situation involving her father? Because remember, Mark's story was, I was working with someone and he got greedy. What if that person was the other personality?
Right. That's the personality I think they keep hinting at, right? They keep hinting at this like another personality. I thought it was like Khonshu was the third personality, but Khonshu's not there.
No, but not only that. Remember, during the scene, the second episode where they introduced Layla, that Mark and Steven were on the roof chasing those guys,
right?
And then they blank out, and when they come back, they've stabbed one of the guys. And Mark says, Steven, what did you do? And Steven goes, it wasn't me. So clearly there's a third personality in control.
Somebody, yeah.
I don't think it's Khonshu, because then if Khonshu could take over, he wouldn't need to talk about one of the other two being in control. Right. So I think there's a third personality. From what I understand in the comics, there is a third personality.
Right, Jake Lockley or something like that.
Yeah. And it would make sense because there's always threes. So I noticed it in the show. Like whenever he's looking at himself, there's usually three reflections. Right. When he has one mirror, there's for some reason two reflections of him.
They'll do this the two reflections, and they'll go to the side, and all of a sudden there goes a third one, just like in the background kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and during the ending credits, they show Oscar Isaac's, or Mark with three faces coming.
That's right.
Off. Yeah, so there's always threes when they reference Mark or his appearance. So there's got to be a third personality, and it'll be interesting to see if he's been the one committing all of the heinous acts, including ultimately killing Layla's father.
Yeah, man. Because especially with the last episode, the fourth episode, you could see that when they did this whole like hospital scene at the end, that third tomb or that third person that's shaking. But I find it weird every time that they talk about the third person, or they kind of mention it like, hey, if that wasn't you who did that, then they kind of like almost forget about it and keep it moving, which is so weird.
But have we seen this third personality maybe in the past? Because remember in the first episode where they kept showing Steven blanking out, and then you would see everybody all messed up,
blood in his hands and everything like that.
Yeah, we're always assuming that was Mark. What if it wasn't?
Right, because Mark doesn't come across that brutal. Yeah, like Mark can hold his own and fight, but to have like blood on his hands, legitly, like
yeah. And then the same thing in Harrow's compound when they were fighting for the for that compass that looked like a scarab. That was also very bloody, the way he was, taking down the guy. So was that Mark, or was that again this third personality? So have we seen this third personality already and just didn't realize?
Right, it's pretty interesting. I thought honestly the third personality was. Do you remember that scene where Khonshu goes to Mark and Mark's like, "Where are we going now?" He goes, "Where the hell do you think we're going?" and it ends up them in Egypt, and is the guy,
Mm-hmm.
it's Oscar Isaac, sitting down on beside a bed with his shirt off, drinking. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think that Mark would be drinking like that, and definitely not Steven.
No.
So at first I thought that
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, that's another person right there. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
first time we kind of saw him. But I do agree with you. I think in that compound or the community that he was in when we first met Arthur Harrow and he was judging people, that those every time when Steven blanked out, I think that was this third character. It had to be this third
Mm-hmm.
character because I don't think Mark is
Yeah.
that gruesome.
No. Plus, you going even farther back, I think the third character has been coming out before, because if you remember the first episode, there's that the tour guide that he had the date with. I don't
Steak
think Mark would have
time.
set that. Yeah, steak. Like, would Mark have set that up? Because Mark is like in his brain, in his mind,
He's
he's
married.
married to
He's
Layla.
focused on what he has to do. He's not thinking about dates.
Yeah, everything he's doing, exactly, and everything
Mm-hmm.
he's doing is to protect her. Not that he doesn't want to be with her or isn't in love with her, but he's doing this in this distance to
Right.
protect her. So the only one who would really be trying to get with another woman would be the third character who has no recollection maybe of
Right.
being married.
Very interesting, man. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see where they go with this next episode because
Yeah.
I think this was the most they've ever put out there, that there's a third person. There's somebody in that tomb that was trying to get out that they just kind of bypassed and went to the hippo lady. It was just crazy to even say a hippo lady, but that's exactly what was
Oh
there.
God.
It was a hippo.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Apparently, she's a god.
Yeah, she's a goddess of fertility, I
like
believe
fertility
it is.
or something. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just nuts, all those things
So
like that. The gods from Egypt, man, they're all like animal heads, which is just insane.
well, that's how they've been represented. So it's interesting to see. Like I would, like you said, I would love to now read into that culture and why were they representing their
In those
gods
ways. Yeah.
as animals? Yeah, yeah. Like why was one god like with the bird of a with the head of a
Mhm.
bird? Why is another one with the tail of an alligator?
One
or
of them was
something
a scarab head, like legitly a scarab on
Yeah,
top of someone's freaking body as a head. It's just
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Man,
So
and listen, let's talk about the villain of the show because he has also kept it very interesting, which is Arthur Harrow being played by Ethan Hawke. Arthur Harrow,
yeah,
man, listen, he's playing a believable character, which is insane because he's not doing anything over the top. But what he's doing is like you can see he's laser focused on bringing out Tiamat. Is it? No, Tiamat is from the
Amit,
Eternals.
Amit. Yeah,
Amit.
yeah, yeah.
There
Amit.
he goes. Oh, these
Yeah,
names sound so close together, brother. I'm not gonna remember all this.
yeah. No, and the funny thing with his character, kid, I think if he got you on the right
Mhm.
day, I think he could talk you almost anybody into joining
Right.
his crew, because it almost makes sense what he's saying. Like,
Al,
yo,
no way, Al.
if you no,
You
that's why I
said
said on the right
almost.
day. If he got you on the, yeah, almost. Because look at how peaceful. If you just looked at the community and how well everybody was working together, how harmonious they seemed to be. I mean, disregard the fact that they do some evil shit when they're, when they get on a mission. But if you just looked at how the community was, and that's what he showed you, and then he said, "Listen, I'm just trying to rid evil from
Right.
the world."
Heaven
And
on
he
earth.
shows you how peaceful. Yeah, he shows you how peaceful, and he talks so. And then with whatever ability he has, he always knows everything about you. So he knows what buttons to push when he
Right.
addresses you. So, they make him as a very charismatic character in terms of, almost being really good at getting you on his side, which would explain why he has so many people all
Right.
over the world working for
So
him.
you subscribe to his thought process of let's take out the people who will eventually do something bad before they do it.
No, see, I don't agree to that, because the reason I don't agree with that is because say you see that somebody's done something in the future. Do you punish them because you saw them do it in the future? Or what if there's a possibility of showing them that they would have done that in the future? you can steer them down a path where they don't.
Right. See,
You
what
know
I
what I'm
think he's
saying?
doing, he's not even giving them that option. He's just going to
Yeah.
say,
No,
oh, I see what you're going to do in the future. I'm going to kill you now.
yep.
Whereas Khonshu's like, oh, no, you're a dumbass and you're this.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you up and kill you now because I
Because
know
you
what you've
what
done.
you've done exactly. You
Right. So
did it.
compare what you've done to compare what you might do
Mm-hmm.
or will do. I don't know. I find it interesting, man, because there's a part of me, he's just like, wouldn't you prefer to have taken out, like he brought up all these different like atrocities from, from history. Would you basically kill Hitler as a baby
Mm-hmm.
before he becomes Hitler? Or would you rather kill Hitler after he becomes Hitler? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but you can't judge kids.
Yeah,
And what
that's why I
he
agree
compared it
with.
to what, amputation?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you
Oh
had
my
an
God.
arm that was going bad, but you could save the body, would you not cut off the arm? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
just
that's what I'm
nuts.
saying. If he gets you on a week, like on a day where, like, say you've been hit hard and
Mm-hmm.
you're at a low point, and he comes at you with some of the stuff he comes with, I could see him getting somebody and saying, you
Right.
know what, you're right. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it would make sense. Well, I mean, he's got police officer, he's got everybody from all these different walks of life.
On
And
his
I'm
side.
sure, yeah, and I'm sure he's done that. He's gotten them at the right time
Mm-hmm.
when they were maybe at a low point in their life, and he got them to come over.
I got to tell you, at first, when he started doing that whole like holding their hand and being judged and judging the people, I thought it was bullshit at first because I'm like, there's an older lady who's never done anything wrong in her life. And he's like, but you will eventually. And I'm like, how much time does that lady have to do something bad? Like, and what bad could she do that needs or requires death?
Yeah.
I'm like, is he lying?
Yeah.
Is he just taking people out and taking their energy? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Or what if it's something else that Ahmed is detecting and
Right.
is taking out? Because if what you're doing is proper, then why did all the other gods turn on you?
Right.
So there's got to be something. I'm assuming there's going to be something more to the story that we're going to see once these gods actually get involved. I'm wondering, do you think that they're going to get the gods like actually more involved? Because that trial scene was pathetic.
That trial was so bad, Al. So
Yeah,
bad.
man. Yeah.
He said right before they went into the Great Pyramid and they had the trial, he goes, you have to have the most concrete case for them to believe you. And they
Yeah.
go, what's your case? He's a liar.
And that's all
And
he
that's
said.
all he said.
He didn't say like, go look at the desert, go look at what his people are digging up.
He's digging right now outside.
Yeah. Ask him to show you his staff, like all this stuff.
He just left it. I was like, where's the concrete evidence? He just let it be.
Yeah,
No,
just
come
kept,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, that trial. That
Yeah,
probably
man.
has to be the worst thing about the show was that trial. Because if you really think about it, it really made no sense that he didn't explain himself or say anything. He just stood there and took it.
Yeah. You're a god? How did Harrow outsmart you? Like, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like if they do bring in the gods, like how much of an impact is that going to have on the show?
Right. Yeah. I find it very like it could be very interesting or it could get really wonky. So I want to see how they play that along with just 2 more episodes left this week and next week, which is
Yeah.
nuts, man. I can't believe it's over that fast
Yeah.
already.
I mean, granted, it's more like 4 episodes because these are almost an hour long
Mhm.
each. So compared to the other series, these are some long episodes.
Yeah, man. It's a definitely good one. And it looks fantastic. It looks like a movie.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Feels like one too.
Right. Absolutely. And now let's talk about that crazy ending to episode 4 there, where it looks like did Mark have the body or Stephen had the body? I think Mark had the body at the end where you discovered Alexander the Great.
Oh no, that was Stephen. Remember,
Oh.
Stephen was the one that was having to decipher everything.
So
Mark was like there in the reflections, but it was
reflections?
Stephen in control. Yeah.
All right. So then I think Mark took to the body over there really quickly when the bad guys came into the tomb.
Yes.
And that's when that's when Arthur Harrow, which was completely blindsided me because I didn't think he believed in guns. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't think that he had a gun on him. But then he blasted him twice without Like,
Yeah.
I'm done playing this game, dude. I want the damn Emmett thing.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, did he know that he couldn't kill him? Because if you're needing the information, why would you kill instead of, like, why would you shoot to kill? Because he shot him
Well, I think
point blank in the
But
chest.
did he know about the statue of Emmett? Because all he's looking for is that statue. Once he has the
Yeah.
statue, he just has to break it, I guess, and get Emmett out.
But if you knew where it was, why were you asking him?
I
So that's
got
what
you.
I'm saying. Like, I feel like there was information he needs from Steven
Right.
or Mark. And if you're not getting it and you're this close, like you're in the tomb,
Right.
you're not going to just shoot the only person who seems to know or have any information that you're needing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering how much of this is him knowing he's not actually going to die from it.
Gotcha.
Because I'm wondering. Actually, no. I go back to what the point you made earlier. Is Khonshu an actual personality?
Right. I wonder. I mean,
because
they locked them up right now, but
yeah,
let's see.
yeah. Because does Harrow know that he really does still have the powers, even though he thinks he doesn't?
Maybe, I don't know. And it's kind of crazy because they're going to have to explain how Mark is not going to die from these 2 gunshots.
2 shots to the chest.
I mean, it took him out, but what's your take on what happened next? Because to me, it feels like we went into a different like mind frame. I think we went into his mind, his brain.
Yeah.
You got some people saying, "Oh no, it's the whole show has been fake. This is real." I don't believe that whatsoever.
Oh, that the whole show is taking place in his mind.
I don't believe that whatsoever, because all the stuff that you saw in the psych ward, if you want to say it, was weird. Everything was all white. What psych ward is all white? Even the professor's, not the professor, Arthur Harrow's office was all white with all this clear stuff and all these Egyptian stuff in the background. Nah.
This is, to me, this is happening in his mind, because
absolutely,
because going back to my point earlier, the whole thing with Mark and Steven talking to each other, the only way for the audience to know they were talking to each other was the mirror,
right?
Because otherwise, all you saw was Oscar Isaac talking. The only way you would know that he was talking to the other personality was the reflection,
right?
So to me, and then when he goes into this psych ward or whatever it is, you actually see him physically now talking face to face. They're talking to each other. And the only way that could physically be happening is if this is happening in his mind.
Right.
So I took this as this is all happening in his mind, with his body, his mind actually trying to cope with what just happened to his body.
Yeah, man, I agree with that completely, man. I think this is all in his mind, because it's kind of interesting to see everybody that was in the psych ward with him, with all these characters and people that we saw throughout the show, all in there. I just think that they're going to have some real like explaining to do kind of thing, because if Mark comes out of this, how is he alive if he doesn't have the powers from Khonshu? And how can another god come in and help out? Because again, we have this hippo goddess that's in the end scene. That can get a little weird and kind of take us out, because this show has been so good. It just got weird this last episode. Like, what in the hell is happening right now? So
the only part that threw me for a little loop was the way last episode, not the episode before, episode 3, when Khonshu does the whole
change the
sky moving thing, and then the gods punish him by locking him in the stone. He tells Steven, tell Mark to release me. Why did we not see that? How is that not the first thing you talk to Mark about? Like, yo, Khonshu, they locked him up, and he says you can release him. It's like, you need his help to finish everything that you're about to do. How did you not at least have that conversation to try to find out what Khonshu meant by tell Mark to release me? Like, how does that happen? Do they have to break that statue that they froze him in? Or is there another way to release him?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So
I'm looking forward to seeing it. And again, with just 2 episodes left, they have a lot of explaining to do, and to end this like on top. Now, with only 2 episodes left, I mean, what are you expecting to see? Because I personally think that, of course, because it's a comic book movie and it's about Moon Knight, he's going to come out of this somehow, some way, and figure out how to become Moon Knight again. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a big battle between Arthur Harrow and Moon Knight and all that stuff. And we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, you got people thinking that it's going to end with Moon Knight not being alive for some reason. I can't really see that happening.
No.
That this is like maybe a what do they call? What did Loki call all these different versions of him?
A
A
variant.
variant
A
of
variant.
Moon Knight, and it will have another variant in the movies. Don't do that, Marvel.
Nah.
Please don't do that. Just
Nah.
make this guy
Nah.
the one that we're seeing part of the universe, and we'll go from there. But what's your
Yeah.
take on like what we're going to see in the next 2 episodes?
See, in order for them, and maybe this is an unfair fair way of thinking about it. If you're going to bring Moon Knight into other shows or movies,
Mm-hmm.
I can't see them bringing Khonshu as well.
Right.
So one of the things I think they're going to do in the next 2 episodes is show that Moon Knight has always been something he was able to do without
Oh
Khonshu.
wow.
So I think right now they're going to, somehow something's going to come up, whether it's one of the other gods, this hippo one that they showed at the end, or another one is going to say, yeah, he gave you the power, but he
Right.
didn't need to be here for you to use it. You still have it in you.
Oh wow.
And
That's deep.
yeah, so I think that's going to come out, and that's whether that's how he restores himself by realizing that he still has the power, or somebody tells him. But I think something's going to happen for him to realize, wait, I still have this suit. I can summon the suit without
Right.
needing Khonshu.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, again, we're looking forward to seeing it just like most people are. It's going to be very interesting to see how they play this along. And I just think that I trust Marvel, but this last episode got me kind of like, they're going to get weird with it. Let's see how weird it gets and if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But like, what do you think as far as future, if and everything works out? Because there's this story right now out that Oscar Isaac only signed on to do this TV show. Nothing else, nothing more.
It could kind of, I can see that working. I don't like Wanda was apparently a one and done season. I think the same is going to be the case for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
I think these are good shows to expand on the MCU, of giving these characters that really didn't have much background for us, because they were, the side, like in the case of Falcon, he was the side character to Captain America. So this was a good way of giving him a background show, like a show to build his background, build him up, so that now he can be the main character in the next Captain America movie. And same thing for Moon Knight. We had no background to Moon Knight. We had no introduction to Moon Knight. So if this turns out to be a one and done season of introducing us to Moon Knight, giving us his background, all the characters around him, and then incorporating him into the main MCU storyline in the movies, I can see this being a one and done season and still not being disappointed by it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing a lot about the Midnight Suns, which is a group of, I guess you could say, anti-heroes.
Yeah. Like him, Blade, and
yeah, it's like Blade, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange. I think a couple of other people too. But in our MCU right now, we've heard Blade's voice with the Black Knight.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be very interesting to have him, Blade, Black Knight, Moon Knight, then maybe Ghost Rider as well. That'd be very interesting. I don't think Doctor Strange would play along with that, but still something cool to see. It's something interesting. I've never really seen them in comic books, which is crazy because I know I saw a video game is being made about the Midnight Suns that's going to have these characters also dealing with the like ghosts and vampires and stuff like that. So the supernatural, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't really see him being an Avenger.
Nah.
Even though in the comics he was, I can't really see this type of character playing along with like, Hulk. It just, I don't see. He's just a little brutal, and at the same time, just own different animals. So we'll see how that goes, man.
Yeah. No, but like you said, like I wouldn't mind seeing like a Dark Avengers, like you said, where the other group deals with the during the day emergencies, so to speak, with, for lack of a better way. of saying it, but like the fights that we've seen so far, you can have like the Falcon and the Doctor Strange handling those situations.
Right.
And then for the more scary, like horror type storylines that you want to pursue, you can bring in the Dark Knight, the Blade, Moon Knight. You can bring these more darker story type characters in, and you can have a full breadth of storylines and have
Mm-hmm.
characters that fit into that genre and use them for that sense. So I wouldn't mind seeing them get a little darker and using those characters for that.
All right, that sounds cool, man. And then, are you hoping for a post-credit scene on the 5th episode, or you want to see it on the 6th episode? Because they got to have one. They gotta have one
Yeah,
post-credit
they got to
scene.
have one at least, if not the 5th. Definitely, they got to have one on the 6th. Because to your question earlier, how does this incorporate into the bigger MCU?
Right.
So they're going to have to do something either in one of these episodes, or what I would prefer, just leave it for the cutscene.
Right.
You know, let leave the episode solely for his story,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you've concluded, maybe definitely after the 6th one, conclude his story, and then give us a cutscene at the end that tells us how you're now going to bring him into the MCU.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Al, so listen, one last question before we end the podcast for tonight.
Yeah.
One of the big things about the MCU is its connectivity to everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been, besides the GRC logos in different places from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there really hasn't been a mention of any Avenger, of any kind of like situation. The only thing that's been mentioned so far is Madrigal, not Madrigal. That's freaking. That's the
Madrigal or whatever.
Madripoor.
Madripoor.
Madripoor, yeah. Madrigal is from freaking. What's the name of the movie? We don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, yeah. The Jesus, I'm drawing a blank.
Same, man.
Oh God, with the family.
Encanto.
Encanto. There you go.
So yeah, the MCU is not visiting Encanto World.
No.
But Madripoor was mentioned, and that is the only connection to the MCU. No, there's something else.
Yeah.
What you got?
See, this when you watch other people's episodes, they point out stuff that I didn't realize. There was there was one obvious one, but two potential overall references to Kang.
Oh,
Because apparently one of Kang's versions went back in time and was a pharaoh. And remember, they made reference to a pharaoh that was Amit's avatar and betrayed her. So
you think it's Rama Tut?
So some people have said that that's Kang. Having was her avatar, betrayed her. That's how he got some of his power.
Right.
But also one of the kids that they were fighting on the roof had a drawing of a pharaoh's head on the back of the jacket. And that drawing was of that pharaoh that was Kang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for them to say that Rama Tut was in Egypt that caused all this havoc, that the gods weren't believed anymore or weren't they weren't as important as they were before, so they kind of went away to this other world, other realm.
Yeah.
If they bring Rama Tut into this ought be crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's supposed to just be like Easter eggs for like, diehard fans to be like, oh shoot, that's so and so, like I don't know if it's supposed to be just that, or if that is a subtle hint that this is what's coming.
That has to be super subtle, because no one would have looked at the back of this kid's jacket,
especially that quick in a fight scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, very interesting stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, listen, that's gonna be the podcast for tonight. Unfortunately, again, guys, we apologize. No news, so nothing to talk about. Really, we didn't catch any movies this past weekend. But next week's episode, guys, please come back. We're going to talk about Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange, the multiverse, or in the multiverse of madness, which should be absolutely bonkers. We'll reflect back on Doctor Strange's first episode, then also his inclusion into the Infinity War and Endgame. And,
No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home. We'll talk about Wanda and her story. So we'll definitely get you guys ready for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness next week on next week's podcast there. So listen, if you're not a subscriber, hit this plus symbol on your playlist app for your podcasting. If you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. So that way, every time we put out a podcast, you guys can be notified and noted that we have a podcast out talking about your favorite subject matter, which is our favorite subject matter, movies, movie news, movie rumors. So let's work all together as that community of loving movies. Hit that little plus symbol, hit that subscribe button. And that is us for tonight. So saying good night, we got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And you got myself, Hav, saying, guys, thank you so much for listening this week. We'll catch you guys on the next podcast. Until next time.